All right, Bronco Nation News. We're back. We're talking Mountain West basketball. We're having fun catching up with the coaches around the league. And one of the more intriguing teams last year, heck of a run there late in the season, did some damage in the Mountain West and made a run in the NIT. UNLV, Coach Kevin Kruger joining us for a couple minutes. Coach, appreciate your time. How you doing?
Doing well. How you doing?
Doing great. Really appreciate your time and jumping on. And man, what a season last year, Coach. If you just had avoided one or two losses, you might have been in such a different position. Obviously want to spend 99% of this interview looking forward, but for you, as you tried to, process last year and use that to help you build the roster and things for this year, how do you look at, what you guys did and where you needed to improve and how you build off of that?
No, I think you were 100% right. We had so many good wins. I believe we had 8 quad 1 wins or 7 quad 1 and 8 against teams in the tournament. I mean, a lot of, if you just look at it from on only the positives, there were a lot of teams in the tournament that didn't. So we knew we were capable. We knew we were right there. But like you mentioned, just maybe one or two that just stubbed their toe a little bit and cost us. And I think just great experience for the guys, great experience for us as a group to understand how important each possession is and each game is. Because even that being said, being counted out multiple times and then being there at the end, I think should do nothing but give this group confidence that let's get off to a better start. Let's take care of ourselves. Let's do what we need to do to focus in early so that we can enter January and February maybe on the other side of like, hey, let's keep getting better. Let's keep focused and we're in, instead of like, hey, let's go on a run here and make things interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I remember you guys came to Boise and had that really nice win at Boise State. And at the time, a lot of Boise State fans, whoever, like, wow, oh, what a bad loss or whatever. And then you look at what you guys end up doing and the run you went on, and it was like, no, that was the start of something special. I mean, you guys beat New Mexico twice, I believe. You beat San Diego State. I mentioned Boise State. I mean, I hate to say it was one game, but I mean, literally that Southern game. And but I mean, just the Mountain West showing that you guys could compete. You finished as the 4th seed in the conference tournament, I believe, but just to prove that you could beat, pretty much any team in that league, I would assume for the players that are coming back, that's got to be a lot of confidence.
Oh, it is, no doubt. Like you said, I mean, we sent 6 teams and we finished 4th, and had a good record against the 6 teams that went above 500. And so, just little things like that. Of course, you can cherry pick as much as you want, but here in the summer, why wouldn't you, right? You want to focus on the good things that happened and talk about the things that we want to build on and do again. Of course, we're always going to talk about what we did wrong and what we can do better, but no, we want to focus on how things felt when we were confident and playing well, and there was a lot of that last year. A great non-conference win in Creighton, and then of course some really good wins in conference as well. So a lot of things to be positive in going forward.
Well, you look at your roster this year, and obviously, there's no sugarcoating it. You lost some key players with the Boone brothers and Luis Rodriguez and Justin Webster and some guys, but you kept maybe your most important player, Didon Thomas Jr. You obviously have Rob Whaley back, Jalen Hill, some other guys. I know you had some nice additions in the transfer portal that I wanted to ask you about as well, but I guess let's just start with, Didon Thomas Jr. And there was some weird report that he was leaving and he was staying, and who knows what was going on there. But I mean, to have him come back and have him be one of the top point guards in the Mountain West to build your team around this year, what's his outlook for this year, and how nice is it to have a guy like that to build around?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, anytime you can have that point guard position be coming back and have that experience, and of course build off such a great year. That's nothing but positive. I mean, we were sitting there, having nothing but conversations with him and his family, and that we saw the report, same one you saw, I'm sure, and the fact that he was never actually in the portal, but he was probably going to another school is something that I guess we can talk about that in another whole totally off separate conversation about the level of tampering that would be. But I mean, just we had great communication with the staff and him and his family of always being on the same page, so that even when I saw that, I didn't even have to pick up my phone and call him immediately. It was something where I just sent him a quick text and said, something like, I don't even remember, because it was so non-dramatic on our side. And he was just like, I have no idea what's going on. And that was pretty much the conversation, just because there didn't need to be a sit down meeting about it. But to have him back, while, like you mentioned, we lost a lot of experience. We did. We lost a lot of guys that had played a lot of games, but we also bring back a lot of guys that played together last year, which, as we're learning as these years go on, the impact of the portal, how many you bring in, bringing back returning minutes with an expectation to have more significant roles has proven to be a key part of having a good growth and a good team. And we feel we've done that.
Yeah, touch on some of those other returners, Coach, whether it be Jalen Hill. And I know fans in Boise know all about Rob Whaley in the game that he had up there, especially the start to that game in Boise. But, having those two guys back and the development they can make. And I know Isaiah Cottrell and Brooklyn Hicks, you're expecting some improvement from them as well. But maybe if you could just touch on some of your other returners and why you're excited about them.
Yeah, just like you mentioned earlier, the finish that Rob had to the season, or not even the finish, just kind of from the midway point or just before Christmas on, and the impact he had. Brooklyn, even though his minutes were kind of up and down, which is pretty consistent with freshmen on such a senior-laden team, but his impact, or his approach, I should say, in the spring and so far this summer has been something that we have a lot of reason to have a high level of expectation for him in terms of impact winning. And then, of course, Isaiah Cottrell, spent most of his college career hurt. Last year, I think, was kind of the first year where he's actually felt good for most of the year. And so now coming into even a second year, building off that, Jacob Benarby coming off the redshirt year, I think he'll have great nights for us. And then, of course, Jalen Hill coming off the torn ACL, but also bringing now what will be 5 full years of college basketball under his belt is something that we're going to need, because we're going to have some kind of, where we were kind of more of a post-dominant team last year, throw it in, be much more deliberate. A couple of those guys that are going to be in the post for us this year are new. So we're going to have to, lean on the experience of the guards and lean on the experience of the veterans to make it all blend together.
Kevin Kruger, our guest for a couple more minutes here, the head coach at UNLV. And Coach, you had 5 additions, I believe, from the transfer portal, 3 freshmen as well. Let's start with the transfer portal additions. Obviously, folks here in Boise very familiar with one of them, Jace Whiting. But just in general, whether it be Jalen and he put up big numbers at Oral Roberts or some of the other guys, what excites you about the transfers?
I think it's just a group, I think, where we've got a lot of guys that have good experience, but also have experience handling the ball. And when you talk about Jaden Henley coming from DePaul, even though he's 6'7", 210, he played a lot of point guard, handled the ball. So he's familiar with not only playing on the wing, but also the expectations of a point guard. So I think anytime you got a guy that plays multiple positions, there's a level of understanding of how things are supposed to go and what they're supposed to look like. Jalen Bedford scored it at a high level at Oral Roberts against some really good competition, especially early in the year. And then, Jace Whiting, as you mentioned, you guys are familiar with him. Steady hand, good shooter, good decision maker. I think it's just when you look at our guard group as an entirety, you just see a lot of guys that can make plays for each other. A lot of guys that can get downhill and put pressure on the rim, and hopefully we can create a lot of advantages for each other and a lot of open looks. Do
you see any of the 3 freshmen contributing right away?
I do. I think James Evans is something. He's an incredible talent. He's young, so he's kind of piecing a little bit more together every day. As we all know, it's tough in today's climate, especially with all the transfers, for freshmen to go make night in and night out impacts. But he is somebody that has the potential and the possibility and capability, I should say, to get out there and make a play. And then Pop Njai, that his length, his mobility, his knack for rebounding and blocking shots is something that I think you'll definitely see him playing early on, having a lot of opportunity to kind of have some trial and error, figure things out, and see if he can make an impact. And then, of course, Jacob Benarby coming off the redshirt year, somebody that 6'9", 6'8", 240 pounds, 230 pounds. He's somebody that we're going to need the physicality to go along with Bear Cherry from New Mexico Junior College, who's also another big body. We're going to need his physicality and his strength under the rim. So we're really excited about the newcomers.
As you kind of just continue to build this their coach and get this program to where you want to be. I mean, it was crazy. I looked it up. I think it's been over a decade since UNLV's been in the NCAA tournament, 2013, I think. I mean, do you feel like, with where you're at, and I guess every year's now with the transfer portal and all this, it's hard to have a, 3, 5, 10-year plan, whatever. But I mean, when you just look at where you're at and where this program is at, it sounds like you like your roster. I mean, how do you just feel overall about your talent and your team and where you're at right now?
I feel good. I think, 3 years ago when we got the job, I think, that we had to get, I think, 11 out of the portal. And while we loved that group, that was such a fun group to be around. We just didn't, and we got better as the year went on. We just didn't have enough time together. I thought, one more month, we would have, I think, had another great month, and we would continue to get better. Unfortunately, when you bring 11 new guys together, it's tough. The second year we had 9, and then less and less. So I think for me personally, for this plan and this program, I think we've done what we wanted to do in that regard. We're bringing back a large bulk of our guys that played a lot of minutes. We're blending in guys from other programs that have had roles and expectations, but we're not bringing in anybody that's expected to kind of be the savior, if you will. And we're not bringing in 2 guys that we are expecting that. We're bringing in multiple guys that'll blend well with the returners so that they can all kind of make it work together. And yeah, to your point on UNLV, I mean, that was our first postseason appearance in 11 years, and that was our first postseason win, albeit not the NCAA tournament, in 16. And, wow. And so here in-house at UNLV, I think we understand how hard it is to get to the NCAA tournament. We understand how hard it is to work every single day, because at the end of the day, you only have, depending on the year, you have 35 teams, 40 teams in the country selected. But wearing that UNLV brand across your chest it's different. It's held to a different standard because of what was done here for so long, where getting to the tournament was an expectation and winning games in the tournament was an expectation.
It feels like the last time or two I've been down there covering the Boise State game, the crowds have been bigger, more energetic, louder. I mean, how, as you're seeing Vegas turn into this, sports mecca of the world here, how have you seen UNLV try to get a piece of that pie in terms of the fans and the interest when you've got the Raiders and the Knights and everything, and baseball's coming, and who knows? But I mean, I think I see about every other day I'm seeing another neutral site game announced in Vegas with all these teams coming down to play. I mean, how have you guys tried to capitalize off of that, and how do you continue to get more fans and locals in the area, interested in coming out for UNLV basketball?
Yeah, I think we just got to keep doing what we're doing. We're getting people to games, getting people to workouts and practices to see the guys, getting the guys out in the community. The one thing that's nice about being at UNLV in this city, in this community, is we're kind of the day one program. 60 years ago when UNLV started, there was no Raiders, there was no Knights, and while that excitement's great, we love all the sports that can be here, as many sports teams as possible. It only helps, I think, the entertainment and the sports buzz in the city. When you go back to everybody that's born and raised here, or they moved here when they were young kids, UNLV was also always a part of it. So we have that ability, I think, to continue to build the crowds, to continue to get guys to stay here. Come play at home. I think we have as many locals on our team as we've had in a long time. So just continuing to kind of build that reputation. And like I said, I think here in-house, we understand how hard of a job it is to get it going and get to that tournament every single year discussion and possibility. But it's one it's been fun working on. And I think we're getting there. And this year's group should have a good chance.
Well, final thing for you, Coach, and appreciate your time. I know you don't know every roster and every player and every team in this league, but I mean, you mentioned 6 teams made the tournament last year and you guys finished 4th. How do you see the roster you have stacking up in this league, and what do you make of this league? Obviously lost a lot of good players, but there's a lot of good coaches that stayed and a lot of talented players still in this league. I don't know if might be hard to replicate 6 teams again, but overall, just how do you feel about this league and where you guys kind of fit in that pecking order?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of, I don't want to get too long-winded, but because there's a lot of thoughts that go through my mind on that question. I've had great discussions with that, specifically with a lot of other coaches and media throughout the Southwest or the country. On one hand, you've got a number of unbelievable names that are leaving, right? When you talk about Jadon Ledee and Lamont Butler at San Diego State, who are Mountain West legends, not just school legends, Mountain West legends. Obviously, Isaiah Stevens. I mean, you could make the argument he's the best Mountain West player ever. You know, I mean, and not to, I don't want to leave people out, but you talk about
Blackshear, Lucas.
I mean,
Max Rice. You go down the line. Yeah.
You can go down the line with every team, but I think so. We may not have necessarily the out of the gate respect and notoriety that we had last year, just because we don't have those household names. But I think when you look at the coaches in the conference, I mean, Steve Alford's going to be in the Hall of Fame. If I'm sure he's in a handful of them already. Coach Rice is going to be. I mean, you can go down the list. Coach Miles, what he's done at San Jose, it's just the one thing I know as an opposing coach is that you're going to go out and you're going to have your hands full every single night, regardless if it's a household name where that gets your guys' attention really quick, like a Isaiah Stevens, or it's somebody that, you know, maybe two guys that get the same job done. You're going to have to give the same level of respect to each opponent every night.
Well, I'm just happy, Coach, that they went to the 20-game schedule, because that's my favorite road trip of the year. I didn't get to go to UNLV last year. Boise State didn't go down there. So I'm just thankful to have a guaranteed trip, at least one extra one a year now to Vegas. Always enjoy coming down there, and appreciate your time as always. We'll do it again, I guess, in October for Media Days. I think they're scheduling that again. So we'll look forward to catching up with you again then. And best of luck the rest of the summer. So I hope your team can stay healthy, and we'll talk to you soon, Coach. Appreciate your time.
No, thanks for having me on.